Hi, we are Vanilla&Pepper adventure team, and today we will taking you to the Mayan Ruins in Tulum. What does sightseeing look like in the new reality? Can you swim on one of the most famous beaches in Mexico? And finally, is it worth visiting the ruin of Tulum with a choice of Chichen Itza and Coba? We will answer all these questions during the tour. When is the best time to come to Tulum? If you want to avoid the crowds of tourists, the best time is 9 a.m. You will have a time to explore and take some unforgettable photos without the crowd in the background. Let's go back in time a few minutes. When we got there and got off the bus, we saw the first souvenir shop, bars and restaurants. This place is teeming with life, it's loud and noisy. People is fancy, a bit scary customs are standing every bit, as well as various performances and shows. On the way we also meet huge iguana. You can take photos. Of course, the ticket to the Child Park does not include this type of activity. From there, we had a short walk about 800 meters to the entrance to the archaeological department. A track runs on this section which can take you there for a small fee. We went through the first episode and we are after a COVID check which includes temperature checks and disinfection. Curious, we asked the guide what awaits us in the jungle. The answer was surprising. These are swamps, where mainly crocodiles live. During the day, they are hidden in the bushes. At night, they often cross the street. How much are the admission ticket to Tulum Ruins? 65 peso, or as you like, $4. This is the cheapest archaeological zone in Yucatan. We pass another checkpoint where we scan tickets and move on. When visitors arrive at the ancient pre-Hispanic site in Tulum, they see buildings that were once the main center of the city where ceremonies and political events were held. There were many wooden thatched houses around this wall that were houses for workers, but there is little evidence of the existence of these apartments. The biggest attraction of the Tulum Ruins is its location. Built on a bluff overlooking the rising sun, this ruin is the only Mayan settlement located on the beaches of the Caribbean. The views are still described as spectacular as millions of people visit the Mayan ruins on the Riviera Maya. In Yucatec language, Tulum means wall, referring to the large barricades surrounding the settlement. In the Mayan language, Tulum was called Zama, which means down, which is an appropriate name given its eastern location. It appears that Tulum was the name given to the site by the explorers Stephen and Catherwood in 1841. Tulum was the center of international trade and was responsible for the distribution of goods in the Yucatan via Coba, Chichen Itza, and the settlements linking them. Tulum was also believed to be a religious center for priests, whose walls protect holy leaders. Archaeologists have evidence that the population was killed by the Spaniards when they introduced Old World disease to the area to destroy the indigenous people. Tulum remained inhabited some 70 years after the conquest when it was finally abandoned. Documentation of this date can be found in the writings of Brother Diego de Landa. Comments on the Yucatan Peninsula. The local Mayans continued to visit temples to burn incense and pray until the end of the 20th century. From January 2021, the beach is closed due to the epidemiological situation, but this is not the only reason. This beach is especially popular with turtles that lay their eggs at night, so the beach is also temporarily closed during hatching. The beach is natural and intimate. For many people, it's the main reason for visiting the Tulum ruins. Oh, people want to feel like the Mayan people and enjoy bathing in this sacred Mayan site. What to take with you for sightseeing? As you can see, it's hot and it's hard to find a shade. Currently, it's winter time in Mexico, so it's scary to think what is going on here in the full season. Make sure to take a hat, sunscreen, insect repellent, this is very important, and we recommend you a full shoe and a bottle of water with you. Secondary construction at the ruins of Tulum. There are several stuccos on the facade of the temple from the initial series. The stele that has the earliest date found at this site was inside this building. The Temple of Frescoes is filled with murals that are heavily influenced by time and the elements. The temple bears traces of several building styles. The second is the Temple of the Descending God. On the facade of the Temple of the Descending God is a carved figure with the head pointing downwards, the Descending God. Tulum appears to be a center of worship of this god with more descending sculptures of the gods found on other buildings. On the interior walls, you can see traces of the original pigments, paint applied by the Mayan. And the last one important construction is a harbor and beach. The beach is located at the foot of the Tulum ruins, was an important part of Tulum's settlement. Mayan ships for trade around the Yucatan Peninsula were moored in this area. Today, visitors use this area as a place for swimming, snorkeling, and relaxing. Okay, it was not the last one because the most important building in this area is of course El Castillo. Main structures of the ruin of Tulum: City Square, well, El Castillo or Castle, sometimes called a lighthouse. is the tallest building in the Tulum settlement and the most famous. It stands at the head of a cliff overlooking the ocean and coast for miles. The structure went through several stages of construction, and the lintels of its upper room were carved with a snake motif with feathers. The rooms themselves are voted in classic Mayan style. At the foot of the Castillo, there is a small cove from which commercial boats glided ashore. The coast around Tulum is not as clear-cut as in Cancun, where beautiful sand stretches along the entire hotel zone. It is much more interesting and picturesque here. Beautiful picturesque bays are dotted every few hundred meters. They are usually separated by high cliffs that used to be a barrier to hostile invasion. The coral reef is exceptionally rich here, as evidenced by the aforementioned turtles that feel safe here. In the cliffs you will find small caves that can be explored for hours. A fabulous and phenomenal place. And this is the end of visiting this amazing place where the Mayan people lived for hundreds of years. We go out through one of the 5 gates leading through a 6 meters walls. If you liked the story, give it a thumbs up and subscribe while waiting for the next report from Mexico. We will also be grateful for your comment. We are curious about your opinion. Thank you for watching and see ya!